Okay, so it's 4 o'clock. We don't have some members here.
No Channel Islands people.
No? Or do we expect them?
Haven't heard of them. Akbar is officially gone
Yeah, okay.
today. So
Well, when, yeah,
got a quorum.
we have a quorum, so I'll just wait for Laura to get back. I just sent you an email to meet up with you guys tomorrow, so I'll take you up on the offer at 3
Okay, good.
on the budget. Okay. Okay. Sorry. It's okay. We are officially opening up the meeting for the Port Hueneme Water Agency today, Monday, June 17th, 2019. It's 4:02. Madam Clerk, can we have the roll call, please?
Vice Chair Bouchard. Member Hernandez.
Here.
Member Marcus. Member Rollins.
Here.
Ex officio member Jacobson.
Here.
Chair Munoz Schnapp.
Here. So we'll start with public comment, and seeing that there's no one in the audience representing the public. Marcia, you're right here next to me. We'll go into the consent agenda. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes listed on the consent agenda?
I'd like to move approval of the minutes from our last meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Noes? Did you, Rich, you're an aye? Okay. Okay. Motion carries unanimously. We'll step into business items with number 2 being the Brackish Water Reclamation Demonstration Facility Operational Report. And is that you, Mr. Villafana?
It is.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Board. Good news for the months of April and May. The treatment plant was under operation. It was, the membranes were operating. The silt density indexes were below the threshold, which is 3. So they were operating both April and May. For the month of May, we had a demand of just over 3 million gallons per day, and that was supplied by approximately 88% by United and 12% by Cayugas. And for May, our demand went up a little. It was 3.2 million gallons per day, and the split there was approximately 83% from United Water and just under 17% for Cayugas. And everything else, we meet all standards, testing, T samples, so we're in compliance with all the requirements of the state. and doing our required reporting to the state. Any questions?
Okay, are there any questions from the
I
group?
just- I saw the figures. How does April, May, and June compare to last year? Is it kind of the same or more or less, or?
There is, typically, you'll start to see an increase in water demand as the summer comes on, spring comes on. The demand will go up, but overall, it'll average out. December and January were low demand months. We had the rain, and so was February. So overall, it balances out. I don't have the figures from last year, and I could come back next time and compare them if you'd like to see a year, last year versus this year to date. I'd be happy to pull those numbers and present them.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if people are conserving water, or now that the drought is over, they're going back to whatever habits they had before.
All right, I'll make a note, and I'll make a presentation.
Yeah, Member Rollins, that's a really good question. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. Any other questions from the group?
I have
Yeah,
one.
yes, Member Hernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Villavano, for your report. I had a couple of questions on page 2 of your report. The shortage alert down here that is bulleted at the middle of the page, you say at this time, staff does not anticipate a shortage of water supply for PHWA, and the groundwater sustainability plan has been accepted by FCGMA. Is that Fox Canyon?
Yes,
Okay.
Groundwater Management Agency.
Okay. And then I do take this very seriously, the need to maximize the UWCD allocation in order to preserve our right to the groundwater. If we are unable to do that, there's a statement in here that we would have to pay more to Callegas if we lose our footprint on the groundwater. Is that correct?
Basically, we have to take our United Water allocation. What happened was, going back a little bit more of history, years ago, we used to have our own wells. All the jurisdictions, Oxnard, the Base, Port Hueneme. We transferred those pumping rights to United. They hold them in trust for us. So they're pumping groundwater, and their groundwater obviously is much less, well, it's less expensive than state water,
Right.
Callegas water. So we want to maximize that draw. We're looking for ways to, they're looking for ways to increase replenishment, and that's all part of the Fox Canyon, and also the development of what's considered a safe yield, and then a split up of that, what's considered a safe yield between the member agencies, and then a ramp down from what our current usage is to what's considered a safe yield per year. And those are some of the issues that are being worked out at the negotiations. I've attended the negotiations on a periodic basis. Akbar had been letting me know when the key ones were and I would show up. Akbar had been attending and helping us because we had been without a water general manager or deputy director for now over a year. With Akbar leaving, I will be attending every one.
Okay.
But I've kept abreast of it. I know the basic, we can explain it, but that's, yes, we definitely
Okay.
want to maximize our footprint,
Right.
continue to maximize our footprint there.
So my real question is, if we're stuck paying the higher price, is that because of the quantity we would be asking for, or the prices are going up?
Both. You're going to have, there's going to be a groundwater replenishment fee that has yet to be determined. Then, of course, the cost of water, producing the water is going up. They're going to have a iron and manganese removal plant. That's within the United capital budget, capital plan. That'll be a big benefit to us because we'll be able to run the plant almost continuously then, because when when they have to draw from the lower wells, there's more iron and manganese, and then we can't, it exceeds the silt density indexes, and we can't run the membranes. So, yes, the cost of water is going up.
And the
production
quantity we might be asking
Right,
for
correct. Well, we're
will
gonna have
increase
to,
also.
hopefully through conservation, continued conservation, and we're gonna have a drawdown. We have to meet the safe yield. All those numbers have not been determined. Neither has the length of the ramp down. That's been open for discussion, debate, and negotiation as to how long it's gonna take, once the safe yield is determined, where we all are, and then how long it's gonna take in years before we gradually step down to that safe yield. And of course, if we exceed that safe yield, then we'll be paying more for state water that's imported, which is gonna be the Callegas water.
Okay. All right, thank you.
On
Yes,
that
Member
same-
Marcus, yeah.
Thank you. On that same subject, what about the timing of this? We've been discussing this for some time. Do you have any idea when this may reach, when everyone may come to a conclusion?
I'm gonna have to check with the Public Works Director for the county, Jeff Pratt, and get an update on it. And I'm gonna have to reach out to them and bring myself back up to speed, especially with Akbar leaving now. So I'm not sure when the next meeting is. I know I had an invite for it and I had it on my calendar, but I'm not sure. But again, I can, at the next monthly meeting, I'll give you an update.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I believe it's on the Fox Canyon agenda again next week, so last week of June. I don't think final action is anticipated at that time.
Oh.
But they will be bringing it back for their latest review. I believe it's next Wednesday.
Correct,
And
yeah.
ex officio member
Yeah,
Jacobson?
Thank
Yeah.
you. To give a little update, I've been working with Akbar for about 9 months, as well as with Amanda Fagan with the Navy, on the GMA issues. The overall kind of timeline is the ordinance is anticipated to be become active next week, voted into, I guess, approval next week with all the following actions following that, which is development of a fee and everything else. The groundwater sustainability plan, which is kind of the big key regulatory driver, is scheduled to be out for public comment in July, and then go final in December. So between this June 22nd date for the GMA board to, I guess, approve or move forward the ordinance, there's going to be a lot of things happening between July and December for this board to consider.
Okay, all right, thank you. And Mr. Villafana, where does the latest United Water Conservation District, like recharging, I guess, some of the aquifers or something that happened last week where they're going to be receiving some additional water? How could that help us with the membrane?
So what's gonna happen is, they're gonna get water from the Santa Felicia Dam, a discharge. United Water paid for it. I believe it's 33,000 acre feet. I'm not sure on the exact amount. That's gonna travel down the Santa Clara River. And, but United is only paying for the water that's actually anticipated to reach the spreading grounds, because as that water travels down the Santa Clara River, some of it is going into the areas, let's say Santa Paula, around Fillmore. So that's what they purchased, but Santa Felicia will be releasing more water than that, because I think it's anticipated that 33,000 acre feet will reach the spreading grounds, and I think that was what the fee was based on. So that will replenish, and I think the rule of thumb is one family of 4 uses an acre foot per year, so you've got 33,000 times, it's 33,000 basic families that's replenishing. That's approximate.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Villafana. And let's see, what do
I
we
do
have?
have one more question, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So
Go ahead.
So this meeting on Wednesday, is it advisable that some of us should attend that?
I'll be,
Because it sounds like they're going to be making some important decisions, so we might want to weigh in on those.
Yeah, again, I think it's definitely something that you can attend if you'd like to. It's probably best to coordinate responses with the various cities and other folks. I know Akbar kind of did some, I guess, comments to their board as representing PHWA. Peter Candy is doing that for us now. I would, if we are going to comment, that is something where we would want to potentially reach out to him to see what we should comment, what we should say, what we shouldn't say. Additionally, it is available on the internet, so you can watch it after the fact, so you're informed, so you don't necessarily have to attend and to watch the entire thing. It is a very long proceeding.
So, Mr. City Manager, how has Mr. Candy represented us? What are some of the comments or statements that he's used that would represent this agency?
Yeah, so and the board members will recall that Mr. Candy is special counsel that is paid by PHWA to represent us. And so a lot of the discussion lately has been about certain language that was in dispute between basically City of Oxnard and PHWA. That has now been resolved, we believe, with some compromise language that Mr. Candy developed, and Oxnard has kind of backed off of their position more recently. So that's encouraging. And basically his advocacy is for the option that will have the least detrimental impact on PHWA in terms of our long-term access to supply. And you'll recall there was some discussion about one of the scenarios, City of Ventura was going to have a windfall of supply, and PHWA was going to have a pretty significant drop-off in what we could use. So that is now the worst-case scenario. It looks like we have been protected from, but we would still have a loss under what is being proposed next Wednesday. So it's, he is still advocating for us in terms of any kind of a scenario that does not result in a net loss for us, but we're particularly pleased that that worst-case scenario appears to no longer be the recommended option.
So he's trying to keep us whole at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Correct.
Member
And add
Jacobson.
on to that, we had a meeting last week with Peter, Amanda Fagan, myself, and then Pete with Channel Islands, as well as Akbar Channel Islands. And it was kind of just a turnover process, and so a lot of the discussion actually was specific to the ordinance. Once it becomes ratified, then it goes into a potential variance process. So I know PHWA is, as well as NAVE, hadn't really agreed with the time period where they're taking their numbers, which decreases our allocation. So the variance process is where we actually identify if present to the board, actually the board chair, our discrepancy with their ordinance and their allocation. So once the ordinance goes live, after that is when they actually come up with the allocation. So we don't even know what the actual number is. We have that in our back pocket, what we think it is, but they haven't presented it to us yet. And so until they present it to us, we don't really have anything to do with regard to actions for the board.
So there was the allocation, the language, and the period that they were basing their information on, right? Those three elements.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Member Marcus, you
Well,
have
Thank
You
you.
might have a question.
I just wonder, do we need, as a board, to take any action on any of this? I realize that we don't have the authority to do it right now, or the responsibility, but along the way, are we brought into this, do you think?
Definitely. I think the intention, that Akbar had with having special counsel Candy involved was to be able to get very specific action items for the board to approve to move forward. So this whole variance process would be developed by the team and then presented to the board as the formal action to the GMA. The intent is that every step of the way, this board would be involved and actually vote on the direction that we proceed, whether we want to go forward with the variance, you know, because again, I think, you know, I'm not sure there's anybody, minus maybe United, that's really happy about the new ordinance. I think they're the only ones that are like very, you know, excited that this new ordinance is out. So there's going to be a lot of variances and a lot of consternation after the fact that, you know, that we're just going to have to be in the line, same line as others to fight the GMA on specific issues. So I think this board will be definitely informed over time.
I had assumed Akbar was going to be here today, but I guess when I read the agenda, he's not here, so
Right.
maybe you could explain it. Thank you.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, Akbar starts his first day today as Assistant City Manager of Ventura, City of Ventura. So, yeah, he left Channel
Oh, I
Island
was going to
last
mention
Thursday.
that in comments, but he knew that, and he still told us at our last meeting that he thought he'd be here.
Yeah,
I guess.
we thought that the PHWA budget was going to be ready for presentation at this meeting, and Akbar was going to come and present that
Right.
to us. It's almost completed, but
Gotcha.
not quite. So he didn't see the need to come down when the budget wasn't on the agenda. It will be on your July 15th agenda, and it will definitely be completed by that point, and probably be presented by Mr. Villafana and our finance director at that time. I don't think that Akbar intends to come to that meeting, but I will double check it with him and see if he's available.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure.
So one of the things that had come up, because I've had conversation with the representative that the PHWA has on this board, the other board, and they were saying that frankly we need to, if we're opposed to certain elements that they're going to be discussing, that we should make a presentation or comment every single time the group meets, because right now the others who may not necessarily be in our shoes representing this agency are there standing firm on their issues, but if we don't, it gets lost in the message. You know, you only hear who was speaking really. And so the conversation I had with her was, you know, just to continue to broadcast our message and make it clear every single time that it needed really that repetitiveness in order for this committee to hear what we're trying to say, why it's important for us.
I would totally concur.
So that message was broadcast to Akbar, and so I'm hoping that if Mr. Candy and Mr. Villafana are going to be representing us at this meeting next week, that is clear, you know, the message is
That we
clear
have
and broadcast in the same way as previous. I don't want
Yeah,
us
we-
to lose ground because, you know, Akbar's not here
Right,
and no
right.
longer going to be representing us, but we do have Mr. Villafana and Mr. Candy.
Yeah.
So could we make sure that that happens then?
Sure.
With the team?
I'll
Definitely.
make sure it happens. I'm going to reach out to Mr. Candy, and then I'll report back to Mr. Butler, and then Mr. Butler can disseminate that to the board.
Would that
If you
be
want to
okay for
recap.
everyone?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and it's just a recap so that we all understand what the points are, the elements of, you know, of our, whether it's argument or just position that we have. Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay, very good.
When is the meeting? It's on Wednesdays? What-
Yeah,
Tell me a little bit about that.
Wednesday the 26th, and I believe 2 o'clock is when they generally start, but we'll confirm that and get out the information to the board, so those of you that do want to attend in person can.
Where do they meet?
Camarillo, correct?
Meet at the county main general
Government Center.
government center in the main boardroom.
The hearing room for the Board of
Hearing room, yeah.
Supervisors?
Yep, excuse me.
Okay. Okay, very good.
Thank you for your participation.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so then we move on to item number 3, under business items, appointment of representative to Association of Water Agencies, Ventura County. So, Mr. Butler?
Yes, since ex officio member Jacobson's been on a roll this afternoon, we'll ask him to kind of introduce this. This is an appointment opportunity that the board has for service on a vacant position on this association's board. And I know Mr. Jacobson recently was approached about that availability, and he wanted to make it available to the rest of the board. So maybe you can fill us in again on on the nature of the position and when I assume they need someone as soon as possible because that position is vacant.
Yeah, so approximately 2 months ago, I was approached by this Association of Water Management Agencies, and they basically were asking if someone on this board would sit, and as an ex officio member, I didn't feel that I was in the role to say, hey, I can do that. Want to open it up to this board, to all the active board members. The role is actually representing this board as part of the overall watershed agencies that discuss all water actions specific to the GMA, groundwater sustainability, state water projects, pretty much everything that would come up at a normal board meeting for us, suffer at a larger scale. And so it would be kind of more of a background, getting some good fodder for future discussions, or even to bring back to this group of potential opportunities that we could take advantage of and other things. So what specifically is on agendas, I do not know that, but I did want to leave that open to the group. I believe they meet, they don't meet every month. I think it's quarterly, but we can verify that. But I did want to leave this open to the group.
Okay. And so you're saying that they don't meet monthly?
I don't believe so.
I thought they did, but maybe they changed
They might,
that.
they might, I didn't get into the specifics because
Yeah.
as the ex officio, I said, I need to pass this on to the board.
Okay.
So I didn't want to speak,
Sure.
I didn't get into it as much, but I can research that and find out if you guys would like.
Okay, and Member Hernandez, is that the group you belong to?
I'm on that,
Oh, great.
the association, AWA, was it a board or, yeah, board.
Yeah.
Okay.
But has an
But-
alternate, but I was voted on there as the.
City Selections
City
Committee.
Selection.
So Member Hernandez represents, there are two people that represent the smaller cities, I
Okay,
believe, on this, so
okay.
she's one of them.
Okay.
So, and how often do they meet?
Every 2 months, and they have other activities going on, but you
Right.
might be right, every 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
They have one coming up this next month.
Okay.
It's usually in the morning,
And,
yeah.
I'm-
Do you know
I'm-
differently? I don't know.
No, that's right.
I'm not sure if you could wear the dual hat though, too. You could be a PHWA.
well, it would,
as well as the city.
it would give one of the others on this board a representation. I think it would be great to have someone else there as well,
I
because then we
agree.
have two voices.
Yeah, I agree. 2 voices and more representation, especially with
Yeah.
this issue on board, that, the more strength in numbers is.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It
My
is a very
recommendation.
worthwhile agency. Perhaps, Mr. Rollins, Councilman Rollins,
I would like the learning experience.
so I would nominate you. Is that appropriate to nominate at this time?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
I just question whether or not we want 2 council members on there, if there's somebody else from the district that.
I think they were specifically
Nothing
asking
against
for board members.
Your nomination. at
For
all.
board members?
Yeah, because I think the board member would be automatically allowed onto their board as opposed to some other route. So they were specifically asking for board members. How they got my name and actual contact information, I have no idea if that's
Well,
right.
and I don't know whether, you would be very appropriate as well. I mean, but I don't know whether you're saying you don't think perhaps, and I don't know how the rest of the board feels about that.
If nobody on the board has the time or I would definitely step up and help out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the question would be then, Mr. City Attorney, could an ex officio board member serve as a representative for?
The answer to that
AWA?
question is going to depend on their rules, not ours. So I don't
Yeah.
know what their rules are, but I don't see the functional difference, because really what you want is you want somebody that can state our position on things, and certainly ex officio board member Jacobson is keenly aware of those things and is participating in many ways. So from our perspective, it seems like a logical thing, but it's going to be their rules. If they want an actual an actual board member as opposed to an ex officio member, then that might not work for them, but that's their rule, not ours. I did have one question. Is the membership of this board retail agencies?
No, I do not believe so.
So there's water providers also?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe it's.
Interesting.
I believe it's,
All right.
as an alternate, Hernandez, is
Yeah.
that true?
The only reason I asked that question is because there's, with the groundwater management plan and everything that's going on, there's a big difference between the interests of providers and retailers.
Right.
And so I think it's all the more important that we pay attention to what they're doing and saying there.
Yeah, I think it's a combination. Yeah.
It is a combination, and I think we've got two people here, one who has the knowledge and the history,
Yeah.
and Councilman Rollins, who would benefit from the experience. So I made
Well,
a
there's
motion.
actually a nomination on the floor.
I know,
Yeah.
I made a
So,
motion, I can withdraw it very easily.
Whichever, okay.
And as far as somebody, Jared might have a conflict, I don't know. And I've been on the board before, so I would be very, very happy to have one of these two gentlemen. Does anybody else have a, Laura, have you been attending the meetings?
I've attended one meeting, and I missed the last one, and then there was one coming up.
Okay, because the purpose of this group is really to bring the agencies together, all the agencies that have water interests. And it really has helped, I think, in terms of people trying to get along. So it is important, and it's a good organization, and they do the luncheon meetings and the educational meetings, and they have a major party in December, which I think we're all invited to.
Right.
Usually it's at the
they're all
regular
open.
library.
They usually have a guest speaker of, somebody notable, like say in September even, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, at every one of
At
their
the
meetings,
Reagan.
the morning meetings, which start at 7 and end at 9, and then there's the luncheon meetings, which are longer, and then the quarterly or something. So they really do a lot.
Yeah, so,
I know, I've attended the two of those breakfast and luncheon meetings and have been quite interesting.
Yeah,
As far as
Yeah.
like, learning it all.
right. So does the board,
so let me bring this back then. So there's two folks that
Yeah.
are interested, and it's up to what you all want to do. So, I mean, if there isn't a problem with an ex officio on their side to be on this board, I would nominate Jacobson, just because you have just that pure knowledge and you're in it day to day. So I think you would be an exceptional member for this group to represent.
As a suggestion, Madam Chair, the motion could be to nominate one member with, in this
caveat.
case, if you wanted to nominate Mr. Jacobson, who is an ex officio member, with the motion also to be that the appointment be to Board Member Rollins in the event that an ex officio member is not acceptable to the association.
Right. All right, so that would then be my motion.
second?
A second, okay? All
Thank
those
you
in,
for volunteering.
yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Okay,
What
and
about
no
your
no's?
first motion? Did she withdraw?
She
I
did, yeah.
So
she
the
did.
next meeting is July 11th, the next board meeting
Okay.
at 3:00.
So with this decision, Mr. City Manager, can you get the information back to AWA and
Sure,
clarify all of that for us?
definitely.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, is that it on the report out from the group? Member Jacobson, that's it? Yeah, okay, perfect. And then this representative would serve what, for a year?
That's how I
About a
understand
year,
it.
okay. All right, very good. So we then go down to board member reports, comments, and requests for future agenda items. So what's the pleasure of this group? Do you have anything for future agenda?
Madam Chair.
Yes,
Before we leave that item,
Yes.
I don't know if that association likes to have an alternate designated.
So maybe that's something that
I was going to
Mr. City
suggest
Manager
if,
can
then
look
perhaps
into.
Mr. Rollins could be appointed as the alternate in the event that Mr. Jacobson couldn't attend,
Mm-hmm,
in the event that Mr. Jacobson is acceptable
Right.
as the next official member.
Okay. Yeah, so if that's all the information you can find out for us.
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. So, Member Marcus, did you have something?
Well, under board comments, I would just like to say we're very sad about Akbar's leaving. It was a great opportunity for him.
Yeah.
He will be the assistant city manager for Ventura. And it happened pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So that's the story there. And I thought Jared would be here today. He's not. We have appointed an interim general manager, Pete Martinez, who was the water superintendent, and he's been assistant city manager. So we wanted to give him a chance and the board a chance to get to know the details of his being put into that position and not accelerated too quickly. But so, as I said, because everything happened so quickly and we didn't have a lot of time. So that's where we are right now, and we'll have
Okay.
more information next time.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Anyone else?
I would just suggest, since our next meeting is the 15th, the AWA would have met on the 11th. We can have a report back from that meeting.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, very good. Okay. With nothing else then for this group, then we adjourn to the regular meeting scheduled then on Monday, July 15th here at 4 p.m. at City Hall Council Chambers. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.